Time to look at a super cheap tablet slash mobile slash phablet, even though I really hate that term. This is the Cube W10. So it has a 6.98 inch screen. It's got a SIM card in there, can take a micro SD card as well. Powered by a relatively low Snapdragon 210, not very powerful. Adreno 304, but it retails for around about 110 or 20 US. So price-wise, nice and cheap for a mobile or a 7-inch tablet if you're in the market for something like that, just for, basic phone calls, internet use. So this one here I picked up from Banggood. It came via Post NL, so I didn't have to pay any taxes on that, which is really good, because if this came via DHL, they would probably charge me 40, 50 euros in taxes, which is like almost 50% value, and that would definitely not even make it worth it. It did, however, take about 3 weeks to arrive to me, which is rather slow. For some reason, Post NL has been a lot slower than normal. Normally, it's been between 10, 14 days, 15, but now it's taking around 21, 22, 23. So they use that super bubble wrap packaging. So no damage to it whatsoever, which is good. Now, one of the things that I didn't actually mention with the specs, there is, you'll see here, Windows 10. No, it's not Windows 10 Home, but Windows 10 Mobile. Now, I haven't used Windows 10 Mobile since, I think, the Lumia 1020, and that was like years ago, so it's going to be a bit of a change here for me. All right. So curiosity kind of got the better of me with this particular model, because I thought, well, what do you actually get for around 110? Will it actually be all right? And that is what I am keen to find out. And I do actually really like larger mobile phones. So I just put it there for a side. I don't actually think it comes with a charger because the box is so small. How could they fit one in here? And no, just a cable. But I guess they kind of think that everyone's got at least a USB charger. So this will be the standard 5 volts, 2 amps to charge this. Ah, and there is a SIM tool that was floating around in there, so that's good. Keep that there, and I may need that. So build of it, so far that actually feels quite good. This even looks like metal, but no, I think, no, that's plastic, but quite solid. It's got like almost glass on the rear of it. I did not expect that. So screen protector on there, you can see just outlines a few of the little specs along there. 720p display, 4G of course. Everything's 4G now. It's almost like I don't even have to mention that. So on the front here, there is a 2 megapixel camera, and we do have LED flash and a 5 megapixel rear camera. I can imagine that it'll probably be the same piece of hardware they always use in tablets. So that will probably be completely useless, really, for anything but the most basic of photos. Along the top here, there is a secondary microphone, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and also didn't mention there's an earpiece. Of course, this is for phone calls. This is a phone slash tablet. And along the bottom, there you can see is a micro USB 2 port. And that tray on the side, which I will open up now because I'm just curious to see how they have this arranged for whether it's actually dual SIM or single SIM. Couldn't find that out. Okay, that didn't seem to work. There we go. Okay, so standard size SIM or a nano SIM. So you can put a nano SIM along there. Looks like that is a hybrid slot. So yes, it is actually dual SIM support. So put your micro SD card in there or two. So already dual SIM for this price. Okay, so let's just get this powered on. I just felt a vibration there. I noticed that there is a little gap down the bottom here that you can hopefully see that. That is, of course, where the microphone would be. I remember someone said to me, that's where someone's put a screwdriver in trying to get the screen off. No, those gaps are actually just for the microphones. So the screen so far actually doesn't look too bad. Not fully laminated. Of course not in this price range. And I think it feels like glass. Wow, those icons are huge. Okay, it's come up with SIM era, of course. I haven't put a SIM card in there. And here we see that the battery is almost full. So Windows Mobile, it's been a while. So here we have all the applications pre-installed. Just going to check that performance of scrolling the screen. That's not super smooth, but you see just a few little stutters there. Just go back home here. So we've got Edge on there. I will connect up to the internet in just a second. I want to test out the loudspeaker on it. By the way, where is it located? I can't see where the loudspeaker is. Obviously there must be internally, and it just resonates through the design, or maybe the loudspeaker is using the earpiece as well. All right, just to point out that I'm actually wrong here. I've just felt this again, and it does feel very solid. So this, I think, is an alloy they have used for the whole frame. And the volume up and down buttons there on the right side, they are made out of metal. Now, this is quite good to see, considering, again, the price range. And the glass they have used along the rear is actually rounded, the edges of it. So it's almost like the, well, 2.5D glass, but it's not going to be Gorilla Glass. Definitely not. It'll just be soda lime glass. So I've connected up to the internet now, and we'll have a look at the performance of this. So of course it's going to go to Microsoft's own websites first, and just check out the keyboard. So if you have a Windows tablet, then you'll be familiar with a lot of things on the Windows mobile system here, because the keyboard is essentially the exact same layout. So let's have a look and see how this loads in. Now, one spec I almost forgot is the battery size, which is very important. It's not the largest considering the size of this. It's 2,850 milliamp hours. Now, whether or not that's going to last, hopefully for 6 hours of screen on time, I don't know. I'll have to test that out. Okay, so let's see. Scrolling performance. Even though the quad core that it has, the Snapdragon 210, isn't the fastest, one thing about Windows operating system, Windows Mobile here, that it isn't as demanding as Android. Ideally, I would have probably preferred Android on this, but I mean, that seems to be okay. This is rather image heavy, my website. So, okay, so far performance seems all right. So let's have a listen to the loudspeaker. Okay, so as I guessed, the loudspeaker is actually the earpiece as well. But one thing, at least you'll know that that volume in calls is going to be very loud, because that is super loud for an earpiece for calls. I've just placed my 128 gigabyte micro SD card in the slot, and let's see if it will read that and access it okay. So that's good news. It has accessed that just fine, and I can also set that as my main storage if I wanted to. So I can save my store games and things I download onto the micro SD card, because we only have 16 gigabytes of available, well, storage on there. And speaking of free storage, you get just over 11 gigabytes free there, and you can see that, yes, the SD card is showing up there. Now, so not only is one of these the proximity sensor, but also ambient light sensor, because we can adjust the display brightness automatically. And here we have maximum brightness, which to me seems perfectly fine. It's quite bright. And then the dullest dim, it's right down there, which isn't bad. I'll just turn that back on automatic and let the phone handle that. Now, everything looked really large on the screen. That is, of course, due to the scaling, so you can tweak that right down if you don't like it so large. I don't like that. I just think it just looks massive. Now, of course, it does have Windows Store, and they are still just making apps for it, although it's no way near as popular as Android or iOS. They have lost a lot of developers, but you can see, I just noticed that sometimes that scrolling really isn't that fast. But you can see we still have some new games, like Asphalt Extreme. That one is new, and there's still plenty of things on the store, but it's just not going to be as full, the App Store, like you get on Android. Little size comparison. Well, I shouldn't actually say little, I should say big, shouldn't I? Because here we have a 6.4 inch Xiaomi Mi Mix, that's an Android mobile, against the 6.98 WP10 here. So you can see rather large. Now, if I put that next to what I would consider more of a standard size of mobile nowadays, which is a 5-inch mobile, this is the Redmi 4. You can see that it is huge. It is just massive. That literally fits in there twice. But look at that screen you get for watching movies on internet, media consumption. It's going to be really quite good for that. Now here's a real close-up of that screen just because you can see the pixels. Just jaggedy kind of edges. Nah, not really. You got to look at it really close to see. Maybe perhaps you can pick up just around the B and subscribe there that, you know, the font isn't as smooth because of the 720p resolution stretched across 6.9 inches. So this is where the W10 really stands out, and that is media consumption, something like YouTube. So watching YouTube videos of hopefully your favorite tech channel, it actually looks quite good due to the large screen. And for those wondering, yes, it does have an FM tuner built into it, so we can listen to FM radio, which is another little bonus there. So that's the W10 there unboxed, and my first impressions of it so far are quite good considering the price. It's only around about 120 US, and I think you're getting a lot for that price. Dual SIM support, micro SD card support up to 128 gigabytes tested so far, and it's got a full metal frame around it. I first thought that was plastic just because the way the corners had a bit of a ridge on it, but it turns out no, that feels solid. It is metal, definitely. And you get glass on the rear of it, and glass on the front. Metal buttons, everything like that for 120 US. Okay, it's running Windows 10 mobile that a lot of people aren't familiar with, probably don't like. I'd love to see an Android version of this, but even so far it's looking okay. Now, performance-wise, I did see some lag in the menu there. That's because it's only got a quad-core Snapdragon 210 in there, and an Adreno 304 GPU, which isn't the fastest, but the 720p screen should help us at least get playable frame rates from some of those games out there that I will have to test out later on. Hopefully we're going to get over 30 frames per second at 720p, and we can play games on this. And also the screen size being almost 7 inches is going to be perfect for internet, web browsing, movies, and games there. So thanks a lot for watching this video here. If you'd like to see more on the WP10, please let me know in the comments and I'll try and release a few more videos on this model. Right now I have a lot of devices on hand, so I just kind of have to select between which one I'm going to show. And I hope to catch you back in the channel soon.